Hey folks, I'm Matt from Fidel Gastros, and today on the channel we're gonna do something new. Something I like to call Tales from the Kitchen, Hack or Hype. That was meant to be epic if you couldn't tell. Anyways, long story short, if you've ever worked in a kitchen, you've always been told there's a certain way to do something, whether it's been from a chef or just family tradition passed on, and I want to test them. In fact, today's gonna be the first of many tests to see if these are actual kitchen hacks or kitchen hypes. But it's not gonna be me making that call. Every episode's gonna have an expert judge, and they'll be the one to decide whether it's a kitchen hype or kitchen hack. Let's do this. So the first test for this series, something very near and dear to my heart, a little steak. I grew up working in butcher shops as a kid, and these old school Italian butchers always said there was two things you had to know. To cook a steak, it had to be at room temperature, and the steak had to rest for at least 8 to 10 minutes before you sliced it. Otherwise, you're ruining a good steak. You're ruining a good piece of meat. But then, all of a sudden, this book comes out. Meathead. Meathead Goldwyn scientifically proves that those two things are not true. And in my head, I don't see it happening. But it's not for me to decide. No. Today we are gonna test two things. Experiment one, we're gonna cook two steaks, one from room temperature, the other straight from the fridge. Experiment two, we're gonna cook two steaks, and one is gonna get sliced immediately once it's done. The other we're gonna let rest for 8 to 10 minutes. The variables, we have 4 identical New York strip loins cut at 1 3/4 inches, just under 2 pounds each. They're gonna be measured, weighed, and temperatured. Now for the guest expert, because I can't be trusted to make this opinion because I have my own ideas as to which one's better. So I'm bringing in an expert, my good friend Eric Goodwyn from Weber Grills. He's a pro at the Grilling Academy, and he's gonna taste all these steaks and tell me which one's hype, which one's hack. Enough talk, off to the cast iron. All right. 2 steaks. One came right from the fridge, and this one's been sitting at room temperature. And just to prove it, we're gonna probe this. So this one's sitting at 18 degrees Celsius, and that one is sitting at 8 degrees Celsius. There's no salt, no pepper, going into the cast iron at the exact same time, and they're gonna be cooked the exact same way. So this one, room temperature, this one from the fridge. So my Tales from the Kitchen hypothesis is that the room temperature steak is the kitchen hack, and that the cold steak from the fridge is the kitchen hype. Steaks are done. Time to pull them out of the oven. Time to bring in our guest judge. Goody, come on in, bud. Eric Goodwyn, sir, how are you?
Good. Hi, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Listen, you are a pro in the steak world, and we need to test to see if room temperature versus cold steak is a hack or a kitchen hype.
I'm up for it.
All right, so we got 2 identical steaks here, cooked exactly the same way.
Yep.
I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper to both of them.
Got to season it.
But one of these steaks was cooked from room temperature, and the other was taken right from the fridge. Now, we're trying to test this against Mr. Meathead Goldwyn's theory. He tested for more the science, like how much juice was extracted from the steak, etc. Okay. We are looking at taste only. What makes the better, tastier steak?
Interesting.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say which is which. There's your knife, there's your fork. Do you need a bib?
I think I do. It looks so juicy. As usual, you've cooked it perfectly, I'm sure. Oh, listen to that crust.
Put sear on it.
Wow, this crust is amazing. The color looks fantastic. Perfectly cooked, Matt. Juicy. Wow, really hard to tell the difference when you look at it right from with the eye. But I think the taste is in the test.
You're gonna first tell me which one you preferred.
Yep.
And then you're gonna tell me which one you think was the room temperature steak and which one you think was the fridge steak.
Sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Okay. You definitely don't cook a bad steak.
It's not a mistake. And for me, a New York strip loin, I feel like is the best steak to gauge this because it's pretty evenly. Like I had my butcher specifically cut 4 steaks from the center of the loin, which are the 4 most identical steaks on the entire loin. So I tried to get this as identical as possible.
Absolutely, which is actually very, very, very good. Both steaks cook completely perfect. So one of the things I've noticed right away is that the texture is a little different. Now, I don't know exactly which one's which as of yet. I still have to taste the middle, but I think I have a pretty good idea just from the texture alone. I just want to take a second bite and really see what's the difference here.
Goody, now going for the middle of the steak and the punt. Now, I think the center of the steak is probably the most important part because that's actually where you were saying this is the truest cook, right in the middle.
Really juicy. And then, again, I'm really interested to see what the difference in the texture is between these two. Visually, there's not really much of a difference. The only difference I really see is just with the eyes is the texture. One looks a little bit, if you will, loosey-goosey, as my kids would say. The other one looks a little tighter, to be completely honest, when you look at it visually.
Like I don't want to sway any, I can just notice a little bit of a difference in the grain itself as the cut. One of the grains looks a little cleaner in the cut.
It does.
And the other one looks like there was a little bit more of tension.
Little pull.
Little pull. That's all I'm going to say.
Texture-wise, when you eat, I do taste a difference. So this should be interesting. I hope I'm right, because the way that I've been brought up is that, yeah, you rest your steak before you put it on the grill, before you cook it, before you sear it.
From taste alone, which steak did you prefer? This one or this one?
Personally, I like the right side for us. On this side here, I just felt that I got more of a beef flavor taste. Both tasted amazing. The texture on the right just was a little bit more tender. It felt a little bit juicier. And that was just, you know, the taste, as I said, the taste is in the test. And I also, just with the cutting itself, one did pull away a little bit better. One was a little bit cleaner.
Yep.
So I guess for me, it's the steak right here that I enjoyed better.
This steak is being said to be the better tasting steak. Okay, so now that you've said which steak you preferred in taste, which one do you think is the room temp versus the cold steak?
Personally, I think this is the room temp. Just the way the texture is, and it's the way that it feels like the fat rendered, and just the pure flavor and the juiciness of the bite itself. As I took a bite, it literally exploded in my mouth, the juices. Not that this one wasn't good, it was still very flavorful, plenty of beef flavor. I just felt that it wasn't as juicy.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna say anything right now, because we're gonna reveal at the end. Because we're gonna do one more test, and then we'll bring it all together.
Sounds good.
Goody? Awesome. You did good. You did good, kid. Time for experiment number 2. We are gonna test, is it the rested steak, which has been hailed as the kitchen hack, or the unrested steak, which is this newly found kitchen hype. I'm smart. These are glasses. Okay, so one steak is completely done cooking, and this is gonna be our resting steak. The other one, I've just finished searing. It's gonna go in the oven, and it's gonna get sliced as soon as it comes out. Let's bring in our guest judge. All right, Goody, welcome back.
Fancy seeing you here.
It's been a while. You still hungry from the last one?
Well, somewhat.
Again, test number 2. One rested, one did not. I'm just gonna lightly salt them both. We are judging purely on taste. So have a go.
On my left, it's looking very juicy. As you can see, it's out on the cutting board as well, right? On my right, looks like everything's inside the meat. So what does that say? Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Not much of a difference, actually, visually. They both are
literally identical for the most part. Medium rare, perfectly cooked. You know, both very tender. Let's take a look, man.
Cut it, but pretty much the same too.
Pretty much the same. Not a lot of pull, almost identical.
Which will it be?
Which will it be?
So again, lightly seasoned because we want the meat to be the thing that really shines through on the taste here. And you grab that right from the center.
The first bite, both from the center. First bite was this side here.
That's correct,
Okay, lots of beef flavor, juicy, tender, exactly how a steak should taste like. Definitely a difference.
Wow, that one seemed like you had more of a...
Go ahead.
Like, no, it seemed like you had more of like a direct comparison almost immediately just from eating
right away. Funny, on the left side, took a bite, juicy, explosion in the mouth. On the second bite on the right side, I believe, tons of flavor, just a lot of beef flavor. Not as explosive with the juices, but just a bit more beef flavor.
I know what you mean. Yeah, because it's like, because we went so light on the salt, the first thing you taste is actually the meat itself.
It does hit you.
So you're tasting the marbling, you're tasting the fat, you're tasting the sear.
Yes.
And you're saying the one on the right, you could get those notes a little bit better.
You really get the notes, and you can really taste actually the rendering, like the juiciness of the fat. You didn't get that big explosion, but you got a lot of flavor.
So now when you say, I'm just trying to, digest the word, explosion. So you say the one on the left had more of an explosive flavor.
So yeah, my first couple bites, there was a lot. I felt like there was an overload of the juiciness of the steak inside my mouth.
The actual juiciness of the steak itself.
Still flavor, but it was kind of almost drowned out a little bit because it was so juicy. In the right, there was just a lot of flavor. So you got that rendering. It was juicy, and the textures are almost identical. I mean, other than the juiciness, the textures, the actual chewing and the bite, almost identical as far as the texture of the steak.
Huh. So first you're gonna tell me which one of these two steaks you like the taste of better.
Absolutely. For me personally, I mean, I love a juicy steak, but I really felt like the right had a little combination of a little bit of juiciness and a lot of flavor, which I really enjoy personally. We always say that when you're eating something, it's always preference, right? But as far as I really like the right side better as far as the flavor profile, absolutely.
Okay, so flavor profile, you're leaning towards the right.
Absolutely.
Which one rested and which one didn't?
Wow. You know what? I gotta say, I honestly think this is the one that rested.
The one on the right, so the one that you preferred, rested.
I think. And then on the left, I think that was straight out of the cook.
Straight out of the cook. All right, Goody, you've tried 4 steaks now.
Yep.
2 different experiments. We're gonna see which one of these was a hack and which one was the hype.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right, ding, ding, ding. The results are in. Goody, you tasted 4 steaks. So let's think about the first experiment. We were testing one that was room temperature versus one that came right from the fridge.
Absolutely.
So you made a selection, and what was, you like the steak on the right, and you had said that that steak was the one that was room temperature.
I felt that way just because of the pure texture of it, the flavor profile. I guess my mindset from growing up and learning how to do steak from my father.
That's what I was told too.
I picked the right for that reason.
And you need to know you were wrong.
Oh, no!
That was the right from the fridge. Literally one steak was room temperature, spot on.
Interesting.
And the other one was a solid, about 10 or 11 degrees colder. And the one that you picked to be the far superior steak was the colder steak.
Very interesting.
So that was the first experiment. The second experiment, we were testing a steak that had been cooked and rested for 8 minutes.
Absolutely.
Versus a steak that was cooked and sliced immediately. So are you ready?
If you break my heart again,
are you going to lose your job?
I might lose my job, and I have to have a serious talk to with my father over this.
Pops, what the heck? What the heck, ha?
Hit me.
All right, so the steak that you preferred was the rested steak.
Oh, thank goodness. At least I'm 50-50 today, guys.
You were 50-50. So I noticed a very clear, personally, not that my opinion matters, but the rested steak had more of that buttery, rich flavor. The other one was way juicier, which you have to ask yourself, I'm not saying the one on the right was dry, but there was a flavor profile to it that just made it taste like a better steak.
Absolutely, and the flavor, you're talking about the richness of the actual steak and the flavor. As, chew per chew, it was just knockout of the park.
So I guess we are 50-50 on today's experiments. One was clearly a hack and one was a little bit more hype.
One was hype.
All right, Goody, thank you so much for putting a little bit of substance to this debate. And that was our first episode of Hack or Hype. We're gonna do a lot more of these, so thanks so much for watching. If you have an old kitchen myth that you want me to test, leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I just dance sometimes for no reason. Oh, jeez.